Welcome back to PSN News. I'm Kassie Vasellas, and with me tonight is MacKenzie Bronk, the Blue Sapphire in the Penn State Blue Band. MacKenzie, thank you so much for coming in tonight. So first and foremost, how did you get into twirling?
Honestly, baton twirling has been in my family since my grandma did it, my mom did it, my two older sisters did it, and here I am twirling. So that's what really started me with it. I started with actually the person who coached my mom. She coached me too. Wow. So funny enough, she kind of started my passion for baton twirling, and it just went from there. So that's honestly how I started. And then my first year at Nationals, I won the title of Beginner Miss Major of America. I got a crown on my head. I knew I loved it ever since. So that's what really started it for me.
That's awesome. And now that you've been in the Blue Band for, this is your third year, do you have any favorite memories from that?
Yeah, 100%. So I would say twirling on the field with my sister is my favorite, but this past game, it surpassed that. And so I was at Team Arrival, which is when I lead the football team into the stadium. And a little girl, I was walking around just talking to all the little girls as I do, because that's one of my favorite parts. Like talking to the younger girls, like the younger generation is so important to me. And I turn around and this girl had a sign that said, "We love MacKenzie Bronk." Oh. I didn't know this girl. I guess I had talked to her at a game before. I recognized her face a little bit. And when I saw this sign, it just made me realize how much of an impact Blue Sapphire has had on my life, on the girls around me. And so I'd have to say that's my favorite memory, to know that what I'm doing out on the field and showing my passion is showing up on these girls and allowing them to say, "Hey, I'm so excited to see the girl in the pretty costume come and twirling. I can't wait to see her." So being able to have that opportunity to be able to show my Penn State pride and share it with this younger generation has been my favorite part so far.
That is so cute. And then this year you won Miss Major of America. So what was that whole experience like for you?
So that's been a dream since I was so young. So since I won that Beginner Miss Major of America, I knew I wanted to be like the older elite girls, and that's Miss Major of America. And so it's a 3-part contest. There's 3 different things that you have to do. You have to do a solo, a strut, and a modeling, where there's an interview involved. And baton has really taught me to show out my passions and really show that I'm not twirling just for an award. It's for the whole purpose of everything. So like the friendships that I made out of it. I mean, I'm here at Penn State twirling. And so Miss Major of America really encompassed all of that for me. And it's all those hard work and like all those hours in the gym have really paid off to that one moment of winning Miss Major of America. And now I get to share it with everyone in the baton world and Penn State.
Right. And you just talked about those hours in the gym. What does that preparation look like with the practice and the training?
So I will say, before I came to college, my schedule was school, baton, friends, but mostly school and baton. And so my weekends, I would have Saturday and Sunday practices, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., Saturday and Sunday. And when I tell you my summers were crazy, I had 5 weeks of practice, Monday through Friday. It'd be from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So it was basically like a full-time job in the summer, like an internship. Right. And then we would go to 2 nationals, which was a whole week long of competition every single day for like 5 days. So that's what my training looked up to, like that point in Penn State. But now that I'm at Penn State, I practice with the band 4 days a week, and then the game day, I'm sure you know, it's long. It's like 12 hours of just twirling, talking to people. And so that's kind of what it's come to now. But it started off as a lot of hours in the gym.
Right, and then after that preparation, once you get to game day, do you have any certain routines? I know we talked about it a little before. You wake up super early, so tell us about that.
100%. So waking up, say it's a noon kickoff, I get up at 3:20 a.m. because the Blue Band, we have to get there 6 hours before kickoff to practice, to make sure that everything's good. And so I wake up 3:20 to make sure I have like ample time to get my hair done, because I sit there and tease my hair, I curl it, I spray it, I do my makeup. It's a whole production for me. But then once I get out on that field, I do prep some of my routines beforehand. But honestly, when I go out there, it's all about trusting what I've done my whole life. And most of the time, it's improv. And so I'll just go out there and say, "Hey, like, I like this part of the music, so I'm going to do this that I know, that I'm familiar with." So that's kind of what that process looks like for me.
Right, and you wear some really cool costumes out there. Do you have a favorite one?
I would have to say I do. I would say it's a tie. So my first one that I ever had, it looks like a drape over, and it has a Penn State. And the special thing about it, it's the Blue Band PSU. And so there's a certain thing we do in our pregame where we spell it PSU, and it looks a certain way. And so we thought we wanted to make sure that we took and encapsulated the band, I guess you could say, and put it on my costume. And I'd say that's my favorite one because it was my first one. It's almost like a staple. Like, if you see that costume, you're like, oh, well, that was MacKenzie's like first Blue Sapphire costume, at least in the baton world and how I see it. But just being able to have like the long sleeves too on game days because it gets really cold at Penn State. That's one of the things. But I would say it's my favorite overall because it's elegant. It has some symbolism in it that I love, and I just think it's beautiful.
Yeah, and then looking into the twirling and baton world, do you have any role models?
100% too. So my biggest role model, coming from a Penn State point of view, is Rachel Reese because she was a Blue Sapphire. Not the last one, but the one before that. And funny enough, so in my first team that I was on, she was my big sister. And when I saw her go out and they called her name Rachel Reese in Beaver Stadium, I was 10 years old at the time. And all I knew is that I wanted my name called in Beaver Stadium. And like here I am now knowing it's so much more than that. But when I first saw that, that's really what drew my attention. And not only was she an amazing twirler, she was just the best person ever. So she's one of my biggest role models.
And then, like you mentioned, that little girl, you know, had your sign. Do you have any advice for those young girls in twirling?
What I would say is find your passion and just have fun with it because baton can become really competitive. It's all about trying to win sometimes, but just having fun and meeting people, finding your best friends for life, that's the advice I would give.
Yeah, well, I think my last question here, knowing that, you know, your sister was twirling, did she give you any advice that has stuck with you so far?
She did, and her advice is what I try to give to everyone else, but more specifically, it's that you can trust that all the training that you've had is going to show, like when I go on that field, because when I was first coming to Penn State, I'd never twirled on a field before. I've never twirled on grass. I'd only twirled on like a competition floor.
Right.
And so this was a whole new experience for me. And she said, just trust yourself, go out there. You've been twirling since you were 6 years old. You can toss a baton and catch it. Because when I first went out there, my first time ever for pregame, I was like, I can't toss this baton, I'm scared. And they're like, you have to do that, that's your job. And so she just really sat me down and was like, you can do this, like trust yourself. And that was a big thing, and just take it all in. I mean, I'm in my third year, and I feel like I just started like a year ago.
Yeah.
It's just going by so fast. But taking it in and making sure you trust yourself is what she's told me, and I believe is some of the most important things.
Definitely. Well, MacKenzie, thank you so much for telling us about the blue band, twirling, and all of that. We really appreciate it. It was awesome.
Of course. It was so much fun. Thank you.
Yeah. Now stick around because coming up next, Caitlin and Kaylee will have the latest news from across the nation.